Okay, hi everybody, this is Luke and I'll be presenting to you Railbound in its final released form. We'll be going through Worlds 1 and 2 today, just a brief overview of what you can expect from the game once it's out. Or maybe if you're watching this in the future, the game is already out and you can grab it on Steam, you can grab it on App Store, and you can also grab it on Google Play. Basically, like the game has all the levels on all platforms, so just grab it on the platform that you enjoy most and have fun with it, hopefully. Okay, so this is the game's main menu. If you've seen the demo, this is probably like a big overhaul of what you expected before. The game has 8 worlds in its 1.0 state, though we might add some in the future, so this might change. And each world is sort of split into a bunch of different levels. There's sort of the main path that you can see here, and these are the mandatory levels that you need to finish in order to complete the world and progress to the next one. They sort of teach you the mechanics and then throw in some puzzles to get you warmed up. And then on the side here, you can see those extra bonus levels. So these are we treat those sort of as side puzzles that present fun challenge. And if you want to, you should definitely try them out. Though if you get stuck on one of those, don't feel too bad about it. Just like continue with the game and then come back to it later when you feel like it. And then each world is capped off with a postcard illustration, which you might see in a moment. So just let me go here and clear the save so that we have a clean slate when we start the game again. And let's go to level 1-1. So this is where we start off the game. This is a very, very simple level. It sort of teaches you everything you need to know. There's a train, there's the locomotive, and you need to connect them together as shown. And then it goes off, emitting plumes of steam, I guess. Yeah, so here we have this sort of, our main mechanic is rail bending, is what we call it internally, and it allows you to sort of create these tracks, lay them down, and twist them where your cursor goes. So as you can see here, you have a limited amount of tracks on each level. Here you have 10. And you need to use those in order to construct a track that goes from point A to point B, basically, and then it gets more difficult as it goes on. So we've connected it successfully, we've launched the train, it connected well to the locomotive, and then we sort of go on to the next puzzle. Here we have a sort of main, well, I wouldn't call it main, but like one of our core mechanics is being able to use these, what we call internally triple connections. They're basically like these crossings where the train is going to go in this direction from here, but if it would come from this direction, it would go straight through it. And if you have these placed as immutable tiles on the level, you can't interact with them. They're sort of there and you have to utilize them to your solution. But if you place them by yourself, then you can change their direction. So this is sort of one of our core mechanics in the game, and it gets used all around, all through the experience. So this is a level that sort of reinforces that idea. You have 2 possible paths here, and you have to sort of switch these around in order to create a path to the locomotive. Okay, so this is a reinforcement of something you might have already noticed, but it sort of, we've thrown in this level because we've noticed people having some troubles. Basically, like if the tiles are pre-placed but they're editable tiles, you can just drag around through them and divert them the way you want. This is going to get useful in later stages also. And here we sort of introduce the concept of being able to remove those. I already sort of spoiled it for you in earlier levels because I was playing around with the mechanics, but basically like any of those tiles you can just pick up, they get added back to your counter, and then you can reuse them in order to create the optimal solution. And then again, like we're playing around a bit more with this idea. We're gonna get off the tutorial soon, I promise. So here we show you that you can connect to these sort of open-ended crossings. And now we get to our sort of final core mechanic, and one that's really important. Basically, like you can turn existing tiles into other types of tiles. So here we have a corner tile, and then by dragging all the way here, we connect it together with this one, creating a crosser. Now both 1 and 2 can get to their destination. And also we've added car 2. So we're going to increase the number really soon. So here is a puzzle that sort of utilizes the concepts we've taught you in the past. So here we have some pre-placed tiles. You can connect to them in order to change their direction. You can switch them around, and you have to do it in a way that gets 1 and 2 safely to the locomotive, because if you just connect them, then it ends up like this. Now they're just going to loop indefinitely, and here you have this button that you can press to make them loop endlessly. But if you switch the directions, then it just blows and smoothly. We have full keyboard controls and gamepad controls on PC and Mac, so if you want to, you can use those. I'm going to be using mouse because that's the one I like the most personally. But yeah, whatever works best for you. So this is a level that sort of teaches you that every car has its starting direction. So here, like if you do it like this, then 2 is going to get angry because it doesn't have any tracks to go on. But if you just connect them like this, then 2 can pass through 1's initial tile and just go off into the distance. And similarly, if you just connect them like this, they're going to crash. If you delay 1, then you're going to notice that they actually also have to connect in a specific order. Like it needs to be 1, 2, and then 3. It can't be 2, 1, or something else. So you have to also keep that in mind. And here, similarly, like if you didn't get it on the previous level, we're sort of reinforcing that idea here. So if you just connect them like this, then 1 and 2 is going to get a bit angry about the mishap. But if you go on like this, everything's going to be fine. Yeah, so we're getting a bit more puzzly here. Basically, I know all of the solutions to these levels because I've been replaying them so much. So I'm going to spoil them for you a little bit here, but I hope that's not a big issue. Basically, like this level teaches you even more that you need to delay 2 a little bit in order to give 1 the runway it needs to connect to the train. And then for our final level, we're playing around a little bit more with these pre-placed tiles. So 1 starts here. So the way I usually solve levels, and I think that works best for most levels in the game, but not all of them, that's important, is sort of starting in numerical order and trying to figure out like what you want to do, what you actually want to achieve. So for example here, like 1 is here, so 1 always needs to go first. So this is an easy one. I just connect 1 and then it goes up. And then 2, I sort of loop around here and connect them back. I can sort of test my solution. Okay, yeah, so everything's working out fine. And then 3 just sort of connects here, and because of the level structure, it's going to be delayed and everything works out fine. So this is the end of world 1, and as I mentioned before, we have to cap off the world. We're sort of showing you this story illustration. There's a lightly flavored story going through the game. I hope you enjoy it when you play it fully. Basically, we have these sort of postcards that show of this adventure of these 2 cute pups going through the world and connecting it together. And once you finish the world and you go back to the main menu, it sort of goes pop, 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 and unlocks all the marks all the tickets as checked, and then also unlocks these bonus challenges. Yeah, let's just get into them. So basically, like as I mentioned before, in order to sort of, we've tried something new for us, because in Golf Pixie and inbento and our previous games, we've always had a problem of sort of how to fit bonus levels into the structure in a way that makes them feel coherent and gels well with the rest of the game. So what we wanted to achieve was basically making sure that you have this sort of base path that feels relatively crisp, like you just go through it, it teaches you the mechanics and you don't waste too much time on it. And then on the side you have these bonus challenges that refer to existing challenges. So for example, if you go to 1-1, it's a level where you have to sort of pass through existing tiles, and then 1-1A sort of, well, not this one but the next one sort of builds upon that concept a little bit more. I guess here maybe it's a little bit more obvious with 1-12 and 1-12A. They like present similar challenges, but usually they're a little bit more complex. So like something has changed, or like there's a tile that wasn't there before. So they play around with existing levels in fun ways. But they're definitely not mandatory, and if you feel like you get stuck on them for a little bit too much, I would suggest like not like leaving them be, going to do some like other levels somewhere else maybe, and then coming back once you feel like, okay, I'm ready to take the challenge now. So World 1 bonus levels are not too complex, but they can still like get your head wrapped around a little bit if you're not. So for example, in this one, like you need to figure out how to connect 1, 2, and 3 so that they arrive in the proper order. It doesn't feel too hard, but you can get stuck on it for too long. And this one is like a mirrored version of the previous one, where suddenly 1 and 3 are in different directions. So for example, if you want to do the same solution you tried in the previous level, it obviously doesn't work. A lot of people try and sort of loop 1 back around here to try and get it through the like shortest possible path, and then sort of try and get 2 here, but you can't really connect them like this because it's going to break. So maybe like 2 is going to pass through here and it's going to work out somehow. But then like you get the problem of 2 and 3 getting stuck in this configuration, and you don't have enough tiles to sort of loop 3 back around here so you can repeat the same thing. So what you actually need to remember in this level is something we've introduced in 1.11 is that you can pass through these tiles. So for example, 2 can connect like this, and 3 can connect like this, and 1 can connect like this, and you can reutilize these existing tile pieces in order to make connections that you wouldn't be able to normally do with the amount of tiles that you have. And then it just goes whoosh. And that concludes this bonus level. There's a bunch of other ones, but let's leave them be for now, and let's head into World 2. So World 2 is like instantly brings in 2 big changes. Like one of them is the palette swap. Like you've probably noticed that the previous one was sort of more springy, and this one is more like autumn-like. Like the trees are all red, and the colors have changed a bit. And we've added a new mechanic, which is tunnels. So tunnels allow you to sort of whoosh through the map, just sort of teleport as it would be from point A to point B. Because like for example here you don't have enough tiles to sort of get one to the locomotive the normal way, but if you use the tunnel then it's alright. And this whole world sort of builds upon that idea, like how can we use tunnels to create these fun challenges. So this is more of a recap of the mechanic that you've had in the previous level. So these ones are fairly simple. This one introduces 2 cars and tunnels, so you have to figure out like how to get them in the right order and also use the mechanic that we've introduced. And this one sort of plays around with this idea. So 2 has the shortest path to the locomotive, but this is obviously the improper path, because if you do it like this, then they're just gonna arrive in the wrong order. So you need to actually use the tunnel in order to get 1 there faster. Okay, that was slower, but if you do it like this, then it's 1 and then 2. And then they just whoosh into the distance. And similarly, this one plays around with the idea of what if there are 2 different pairs of tunnels. So grey connects to grey, and then orange connects to orange. And then this is like a puzzle that builds upon that idea, because the previous level was fairly simple, but this one actually like tests whether you've understood everything we've taught you so far. So like, let's get 1 to the locomotive first. 2 is a bit angry, but he's gonna get his turn in a sec. But if we do it like this, then they're just gonna collide. So we need to delay 2 a little bit, and now everything's fine. And then this is like a slightly more involved puzzle. So again, like, let's start with 1. 1 is going to get safely to the destination, and then 2, we need to delay 2. So this tunnel is probably here for a reason. And if you connect them like this, then 2 use this the same path that 1 initially took in order to get to the exit. And then this one is just like more playing around with this. So like similarly to, I think 2, 4, 3 is actually the one most suited to go to the exit. But if you do it like this, then they just arrive in the wrong order. And we actually have an achievement for that. I'm not sure if it shows up in the video, but I think this is one of the easiest levels for you to get this achievement. It's basically like if you connect 3 cars in the exactly wrong order, then you then we give you a consolation prize, as it might be. Yeah, and if you do it like this, then they reutilize existing paths, and then it's 1, 2, 3, and bam, we're off to the next stage, which is actually the final stage in this world. So this is an 8x8 stage, so that by this point in the game, this is the biggest level you've seen, and you can actually like zoom it out a little bit. You can go and see the corners. We have some like clouds covering up the edges of the map here, and you can like explore a little bit. Oh, there's a river going through the level. But let's go back here. And okay, so 1 is nicely positioned to just go out of the stage. That's nice. 2 is here, so 2 probably needs to use the grey tunnel, and then 3, well, I guess the orange tunnel is too tempting not to use. Bum, and we're done. And this is the illustration for the world of World 2. World complete, and we're going to World 3. So I'm just gonna head back here for a sec, just to show you how the game like expands. So as I mentioned, like bonus levels usually like take existing concepts. Some of them are actually made in a way where we initially made the harder level, and then we thought like this is a great bonus level, but let's strip it down a little bit to create like a main path level. So here, like you have 2-7, you have these 2 carriages located in the middle of the level, and then these tunnels on the sides. So if you see 2-7A, builds up on that concept. Like let's add an additional tunnel, let's add an additional car. But the solution is actually fairly similar. So 1 goes here to the orange tunnel, and then 3 goes here, and then 2 sort of reconnects. So it's a slightly harder version of that previous level, but it adds additional challenge that you need to be wary of. And then 2-7B, suddenly there's only 2 tunnels and the order is preserved, so the level gets considerably more difficult. Like this is actually one of the like first bonus levels that gets people stumped for more than 30 minutes. So I'm gonna leave it here, and I'm gonna spoil the pleasure for you. But the solution is really fun. And you might have actually noticed on the side, I'm going to go to a different level to sort of showcase this. Oh no, this one is actually also really good. I need to keep it. Okay, this one's not too bad. So you might have noticed here we have this special icon, and this is what we call the hint system. It's actually disabled by default because we're still like sort of working on it, like working on the way it should integrate to the full game. But if you go to the settings and you go to accessibility, you can enable it for yourself. So it works, but you're still tweaking some things. It might be fixed by the time you see this video, actually. So let's go back to the level. Okay, this is a different level, but it also works. So you see this icon here, and if you get stuck in a level, you can actually ask the hint system to show you 3 randomly placed hints for the level somewhere. And if you create that kind of connection, then the hint goes away. So if you ever get stuck on any of the levels, you might like want to consider trying out the hint system, so that just gives you this like little nudge that you might need in order to solve the levels. Like for example here, like okay, I can see the shapes it's made for me, so it's probably going to be something like this. So then if I just connect 2, then it works out beautifully. Anyway, I've also noticed we have another accessibility feature, which is called Unlock All Levels. This is something we've been debating previously, but we thought that it's actually a really good thing to have. Basically, like if you want, you can just unlock every single level in the game from the start. Like you don't need to do anything specific. You can go there from like, you don't need to go to the end of the game and then it shows up. It's available from the start, and also like if you start playing on one device and you want to switch to another because you feel like, oh, this would be better if I would be playing this on mobile, for example, then you can just start off from where you stopped on the other platform. So we hope these 2 features make the game more accessible and make it more fun for people who just want to like try out the things they want to try. But of course, like it would be best if you went through the entire game the way we planned, because We worked really hard on it, but if you feel like you need this like little bit extra help, then it's there for you to use. And that's it. That's Railbound. I hope you really enjoy the game once it launches on September 6th, or it may have already launched by the time you see this. There's more than 150 levels for you to play around with. There's a ton of new mechanics coming in later. I'm actually gonna tease you on the mechanic we introduced in World 3, which is these buttons and these barriers, which are opened up by cars. So yeah, there's a ton of really fun puzzles. We worked really hard on it, and I hope you have a great time playing the game. Yeah, that's it. Cheers. Have a good one.